Julie just reported on, showing frustration really with both political parties. Adam Geller is a GOP pollster. He joins us now. Jake Berliner is the Deputy Policy Director for Washington think tank NDN. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. Jake, 20% of Obama voters plan to defect to Republican candidates, or they don't know yet. There are the numbers again. They're worth repeating. Is this an indictment of President Obama's policies, his performance, or both?
Well, I think what you're seeing, as was just reported, that similar numbers of McCain voters are defecting as well. So if this were a wave election, if this were a strong repudiation of the Obama presidency or of Democratic governance, you would have to see Republicans doing much better than Democrats are doing, and that's not what that poll just showed. So while you came into the cycle having Republicans talking pretty big about being able to take the Senate and the House and do very well in a bunch of governor's races, you are now in a situation where, as Senator John Cornyn, the head of the Republican effort to take the Senate, is now saying, look, we're not going to be able to do that. The House is looking more and more
but Jake,
like
you're
it's a
overlooking
coin
one
flip.
thing. Jake, you're overlooking one thing. Only half of Obama supporters say they're going to bother to vote, whereas 2/3 of McCain supporters say they are absolutely certain to vote. That is a net voting deficit for Democrats.
Right, and that's true. There's far more enthusiasm on the Republican side than there is on the Democratic side. But to really have a wave election and a strong repudiation of the Obama presidency, wouldn't by definition Republicans have to take the Senate? And that's just not what's going to happen.
Not necessarily.
So,
Adam, I want to be fair. Let me bring Adam into this conversation. To be fair here, and Jake pointed this out, just as many McCain supporters are defecting to the other side. In our own Fox News Opinion Dynamics poll, we're going to put it up right now, that shows that more registered voters disapprove of congressional Republicans than Democrats. Isn't that a condemnation of Republican policies or, quite frankly, a lack thereof?
Yeah, let me untangle a couple of things. Actually, Jake is right about a certain thing. What this poll shows, but what this particular poll, and I'm talking about the Associated Press poll, to me is a very flawed poll for a lot of reasons. It was in the field for 3 weeks. That's not a snapshot in time. That's a miniature home movie. The other thing is the way they do this panel back survey, without getting too technical, not a good poll, not good methodology.
What about the poll I just showed you, which is our poll? Now, don't go trashing that one.
I'm not going to. It's a Fox News poll. It has to be right. But here's the deal. And here's the thing.
And a higher disapproval for Republicans than Democrats.
And most Republicans who are running are challengers and are saying, you know what, Republicans have made mistakes when they were in power. They did overreach. They did overspend, and we're not going to do that. They are acknowledging that when up to the point where Republicans held the majority to 2006, mistakes were made. And so these challengers, these Republican challengers, are saying, do not judge us based on what happened in the past. We are a new breed. We're challengers. And the first thing we're going to do is put a break on the Obama-Pelosi agenda.
Yeah, and part of that is spending. And, Adam, you're a pollster, so let me stick with you for just a moment. You know that polls consistently show that the economy and jobs is the most important issue, but the close second issue is excessive government spending. Your party's record is no better than Democrats. President Bush nearly doubled the deficit, $3.3 trillion to $6.3 trillion. Why should voters trust Republicans to rein in profligate spending?
We have never seen spending like we have seen in the last 2 years. It is true that spending increased under President Bush, which, by the way, was a wartime president and a president post 9/11. So spending is going to increase due to certain obvious reasons. But the fact of the matter is that when you look at the spending under Obama and Pelosi, it just is overwhelming, and everybody wants to put a break on it, and that's why so many independents have switched over and are now behaviorally Republican.
Jake, let me ask you this. Not a single vulnerable House Democrat is featuring the stimulus bill in campaign ads. Almost nobody is bragging about the health care law except those who voted against it. Is it fair to say that Democratic candidates are running away from the president's signature achievements?
You know, I don't think that's really the case. I think you're seeing a lot of races in which Democrats are actually featuring those achievements, and very moderate Democrats are featuring those achievements.
Really? Which one?
Yeah, Allison Schwartz is a leader of the moderate New Democrats, and she is running straight for health care reform. She is very much for it.
Yeah,
So
but her ads only
specific
feature
example.
the parts that everybody likes, the ones that just took place about, you know, lifetime limits and so on and so forth, covering kids. They don't talk about the mandate. None of them talk about the mandate, Jake.
Well, you know, I haven't watched every single ad that's been out there, but let me agree with something that Adam was saying about that AP poll. It was taken about a month ago. That's a pretty old poll, and so for the sake of this election, I think we should really look at what's happened since that poll was taken. You know, if you're talking about health care, young people, a key Democratic constituency, have been able to stay on their parents' plans. Mm-hmm. The president signed a major piece of small business legislation, and when you're talking about spending, the Republican Party put out their pledge, which is net unpopular amongst Americans. And if you look at what it would actually do, it would explode the deficit by over $4 trillion over the next 10 years, which when you talk about sort of what's going to make someone vote Republican, they're not, you know, their party can't keep their most basic promise to the American
Guys, we're out of
people.
time. Good discussion. Adam Geller, Jake Berliner. Good to see you both. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, we are obviously just weeks away from